Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to see the game between Grandmaster Raunak Sadwani and Grandmaster Dominguez Perez Leinier. He is from USA. In the round 8 of Chessolympiad, Team India B was paired against Team USA. Team India won that match and it was a very big victory for the Team India. So let's see this amazing game. Raunak is playing as white. He played the move e4 and Dominguez replied with the move c5. So this is known as Sicilian defense. White played knight f3, d6, d4, c into d4, knight into d4, knight f6, knight c3, a6. So this is known as Najdorf, a super sharp opening Najdorf Sicilian. White played the move bishop e3 and bishop e3 is replied with the move e5. Again this is a theory. Knight b3 and black played his move to bishop e6. Now white plays the move f3. Now first 5-6 moves are over and now we can start thinking like what white wants to do or what are his ideas behind his moves. Now after f3, white is consolidating his structure, supporting the e4, and at the same time if he gets a chance he can even push his pawn on g4. So that's why black plays the move h5. Now this move directly stops the move g4. Let's see if black plays a normal looking move like knight bd7. Here white can directly start attacking with the move like g4. And the line can continue bishop e7, queen d2. Now we are preparing for long castle, short castle and long castle. So this is a very typical opposite side castling scenario. And it looks very dangerous for black as white's pawns are already advanced and white is ready for an attack. So in order to prevent all this, black played the move h5 right here. It stops the idea of g4. Now white continued with the move queen d2. It is a very standard move. White is thinking of long castle here. Black continues with the move knight bd7 and here white long castles. Black plays the move of bishop e7. So now he has developed his last piece here. Now white plays the move king b1. Now this move is a very nice prophylaxis move and it is necessary. So every time we long castle, moving the king on b1 is quite useful because it protects the a2 pawn also, and king on b1 is more safer than king on c1. So like we are removing our king from this indirect attack. So king b1 is a quite nice move. Now black plays rook c8. So he's playing according to his ideas. He wants to play b5 and start attacking us on the queen side. Now white plays the move bishop d3. So what could be the idea of this move? So with bishop d3 we are overprotecting the pawn on e4, because if black plays the move like b5, b4, e4 should be protected. And you may be thinking pawn is there on f3 to support e4. But no, our idea is to play the move f4 at some point. And this is very important idea for white in order to open up black's king. So white needs to prepare this idea. It is still not possible to directly play the move f4. So bishop d3 is a preparatory move. Now let's say black plays b5 in the game. And now white continues with the move h3. Again it is a very useful and preparatory move. Directly f4 doesn't look that good because it leaves g4 square uncovered. So for example black now can play knight b6 and at some point we need to play the move h3. So we cannot do without it because moves like knight g4 are always in the air. So like knight c4 or knight g4. So white plays the move h3. So with this h3 move we are of course covering the g4, but we are also preparing the move g4. So black now plays the move of h4. So like now g4 can be met with en passant. Other move, if black would have castled here, white will play the move g4 and this attack is quite strong because now h pawn is a like hook for white's pawns. So after h3 black continues with the move h4. Here it is a moment for white how to continue. To understand the position, I will show you some variations. So what happens if white plays directly f4? So white wants to have this break, and this works perfectly if black plays the move knight b6. With this move, black's idea is to play the move like knight c4 or bishop c4. But here, now we can see the point of the move h3, because after f into e5 and d into e5, white is able to play the move queen f2, and there is no knight g4 idea. So with this queen f2, we are gaining this indirect attack on black's queen, plus the knight on b6 is hanging. So only black's move is to play knight fd7, and white can continue with the move knight d5. And position is quite tricky for black, because taking on d5 is directly losing, because after knight into d5, pawn into d5, bishop into d5, here comes the move bishop b5, and black is in very dangerous situation. So it works against this knight b6 move, but black could simply continue with move like queen c7, and at some point we have to play the move rook he1, a useful move. That's why, and this is perfectly fine for black. So in the game, white played rook he1. So again, we need this move, we cannot do without it, and it is a useful move. Later on in the game, when black castled, white moved his rook again on g1. So let's see why directly rook g1 is not possible, because black's king has not castled yet. So rook g1 is quite useless here until black has castled it. So black can simply move the piece to knight b6 and black is fine. That's why here comes the move rook he1. Black now plays the move castle. If he continues with the knight b6, then we can play queen f2. Again a very nice move, and knight fd7 and knight d5. Same idea, we have seen this idea. And here white is better, and you can see the point of rook he1. At some point we are playing f4, and rook is excellently placed on the e file. So we saw all the explanation regarding this f4 and rook he1 ideas. So in the game it happened, and black castled. Now when the position had changed, white changed his plan also. Now he is going for the move g3. So he wants to open up the g file, and it's quite easy to open up here. Now black should have played the move knight h5. Black didn't play this move, and the idea is quite simple. Black is trying to create a blockade on the dark squares, and this is the best idea for black. To continue with this line, let's say white plays knight e2. White is trying to support that g4 break. But after knight c5, g3, knight into d3, after a5 moves like a5, black is quite good in this position. I mean, he has some advantage also, because black has managed to open up the lines on the king side, our king side, and he has pair of bishops, and white's attack is nowhere. So, and this d5 move is quite annoying here. So black should have continued with the move knight h5, but in the game he played the move b4. He attacked our knight, and now Raunak chose the wrong square. I mean, not wrong, knight e2. He played the move knight e2, but the better square was to play knight d5, because after knight into d5, pawn into d5, bishop into d5, white gets the a6 pawn, and this position is slightly better for white. He could have played this. In the game he chose the knight e2 move. Now black should have continued simply with a5. It is very straightforward move, and a4 is a big threat. But in the game he played the move d5. Okay, this is also possible, and white played the move g3 here. So black took on e4, white recaptured, and now black plays a5. Now white took on h4. So now the position is getting quite messy here, because both sides are attacking, and black played king h8. Now this is very important move, because bishop h6 was threatened. So king h8 is important move, and now white plays a tricky move here. I really like this move. Objectively it is not the best move, but it sets one trap. So white played the move rook g5. The possible, I mean, according to engines, the continuation is to play bishop b5, which attacks the d7 knight and stops the a4 but at the same time it loses the e4 pawn, and the variation is quite complex. But I like this move rook g5, and it is a practical choice, and it sets a trap, a very nice trap, and black fell into that trap. So of course it's very difficult for black to play here. The correct continuation is to kick the rook with the move knight h7, and the line could continue rook h5, g6, rook h6 and knight df6. But it looks very scary. Even though black has advantage according to the engines, it looks very scary here. So black continued played the move which looks very natural, that is a4, and this turns out to be a big mistake. I suggest you to stop the video and try to find the best move for white. And here white plays a very beautiful move, knight bd4. Free piece? Yes, but it is going to give white a huge initiative. Now e into d4 is forced and bishop into d4. And you can see the bishop on d4 is monster on this square. Let's say black plays carelessly and moves like b3, and it's completely game over, and the tactics is again very nice. Here comes the move rook dg1, attacking the g7 pawn, rook g8 and rook h5 check. Rook g8 blocked his king's square, and now rook h5 check is almost mate, and if knight into h5, guess what? Right, queen h6 checkmate. A very nice checkmate. That's why black has to start with the move rook g8, trying to protect the g7 pawn, and now white will simply pile up rook g1, knight f8, trying to bring in more pieces, like knight can go to h7 and cover the king, but now the variation is quite easy, bishop into f6, capturing the defender, a very simple principle of attack, bishop into f6, rook h5 check, knight h7, and here we unleash our other light square bishop. So e5, and now rook into h7 is a big threat. Bishop on f6 is also hanging. So after the move g6 and queen h6, rook g7 is forced, and white became a piece up after e into f6. Queen takes f6, and now this is threatened. So white has to move his rook b5. A rook is attacking the b4 pawn. So black played the move b3, and after a into b3, a into b3, c into b3, white is 2 pawns up. Now this is clearly winning for white, but still black managed to come back into the game. So black played the move bishop d7, white played rook b4, bishop f5 and queen e3. So now black plays the move rook g8, bishop into f5, queen into f5 check, and here comes a decisive moment. The precise move for white is just to block the check with queen e4, and white is 2 pawns up. This is winning position for white. But in the game he played the move king a1, which is a mistake, because it allows the move rook ge8, and black has got his initiative back. So he improves his knight on f6, knight c3, rook e d8, queen e3, king g7, and because the king is on a1, it is very difficult for white to make progress. The king is on vulnerable spot, because like rook a8 is a very dangerous threat here. So rook f4, and black should have give the check rook a8 and rook a4, and this is quite okay for black. But he played queen a5 check, it's still fine, knight a4, and here black makes a decisive blunder, the move knight d5. The correct move would be to play rook c6, but after knight d5, white can play the move queen e5 check, and there is a pin on the knight, and white is simply going to attack it, and after king g8, rook d4, rook d1, the knight is simply lost. Black resigned here. So this was a quite nice game by Indian Grandmaster Raunak Sadwani. I think the turning point was the move rook g5, and it was quite tricky move, and black fell into the trap of a4. and this allowed the move knight bd4. So this is a very lovely sacrifice here, and black was thrown off guard. I hope you like my explanation. Thanks for watching.